youngest serial killer in the United States, Craig Chandler Price. Craig Chandler Price was born on October 11th, 1973 in Warwick, Rhode Island. From the outside, Price's upbringing seemed typical for the neighborhood, suburban, stable, and uneventful. But between 1987 and 1989, he committed 4 murders, becoming the youngest serial killer in US history. His crimes began when he was only 13 years old. On July 27, 1987, Price broke into the home of his neighbor, 27-year-old Rebecca Spencer. She was a mother of 2, preparing to move to a new home. That night, while her children were away, Price entered her house and stabbed her 58 times with a 10-inch kitchen knife. There was no forced entry, no items were stolen. Investigators found her body in her living room, and the scene was saturated in blood. Due to the lack of leads, the case went cold for over 2 years. Police had no idea that the person responsible lived just down the street. Craig continued with daily life. He went to school, played football. He was known as a bit of a class clown, but nothing in his behavior outwardly suggested violent tendencies. His juvenile record included some minor arrests for petty theft and drug possession, but nothing extreme. He was overlooked because of his age, demeanor, and the nature of his earlier offenses. On September 1st, 1989, when Craig Price was 15, he murdered again. This time, he targeted another home in his neighborhood. He entered the house of 39-year-old Joan Heaton, a mother of 2 young daughters, 10-year-old Jennifer and 7-year-old Melissa. Craig stabbed Joan 57 times. He then stabbed Jennifer 62 times and Melissa more than 30 times. Melissa's injuries also included blunt force trauma to the head. The bodies were discovered 2 days later by Joan's mother, who had come to check on them. The scene was violent and chaotic, with blood evidence throughout the home, showing that the victims had fought back and tried to escape. This time, Warwick police took a more aggressive approach. Neighbors reported seeing a teenage boy in the area near the time of the murders. Based on a tip, police began looking into Craig Price. He lived just 5 houses away from the Heatons. A search warrant was issued, and police found knives, blood-stained clothing, and other physical evidence in his home. Craig was arrested on September 4th, 1989. During questioning, he confessed to the Heaton murders and also admitted to the 1987 murder of Rebecca Spencer. The confessions were recorded. According to detectives, Price showed no remorse. He described the events in detail. He imitated the sounds his victims made and spoke about the crimes without emotion. The interview was one of the most disturbing that investigators involved in the case had ever conducted. Legally, Price could not be tried as an adult. At that time, Rhode Island law prevented juveniles from being transferred to adult court for crimes committed before the age of 16. That meant Price could only be held until his 21st birthday, regardless of the number or severity of his offenses. There was no legal path to charge him as an adult for crimes he committed at 13 and 15. Public reaction to this legal loophole was intense. Rhode Island residents protested. The victims' families led campaigns to change the law. The legislature responded by passing a bill allowing juveniles to be tried as adults for violent crimes. Craig Price, even after admitting to 4 brutal murders, could not be retried under the new rules. Unless something changed, he would be released in just 6 years. Over the next few years, Price remained in a juvenile facility. Officials closely monitored his behavior. Rather than rehabilitating, Price became more hostile. He assaulted correctional officers, made threats against staff, and attempted to manipulate legal proceedings. These actions allowed prosecutors to file additional charges for in-prison offenses. One of the charges was for assaulting a correctional officer with a weapon. Another charge involved conspiring to injure a prison staff member. Each conviction extended his time in custody. By the time he turned 21 in 1994, Price was transferred to an adult facility. He has remained incarcerated ever since. As of 2025, he is still serving time. His release blocked not by his original murders, but by his continued violent behavior behind bars.